welcome back. It is a Thursday edition of Liquid Lunch, and we're at the Newsmax studios in downtown Manhattan. We're coming to you live as we do every day, noon to 2 Eastern from Broadway. And before we get into our next guest, Ryan Vett, he's a gig economy expert and the founder of Boon. I want to tell you that the Dow, right down the street at the New York Stock Exchange, the Dow has turned positive. And today it's just, as we speak, up a couple points, 2 points at 26,100. And as we've been talking about for a while now, 27,000 is the number. So we got some room to roam to the upside, but it is good to see the Dow in the green. And Bitcoin, as has been a lot lately, when the Dow is up, the Bitcoin is down. And Bitcoin down just about $200 today at 8,200. But anything above 8,000, I think, is a safe space for you crypto crazies out there, and we'll get into more of the crypto stuff a little later. But now, joining us via Skype, it's Ryan Vett. He's a gig economy expert, founder of Boon. Ryan, thanks for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, how you doing? Okay, good.
Good, how are you?
So, Ryan, you're into the gig economy, and, you know, for those of our audience who are baby boomers and stuff, the gig economy is all these new businesses that emerged out of the beauty of technology and connectivity and peer-to-peer communication, like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Upwork, all these other things that are brand new and innovative. And these workers who drive an Uber or work for DoorDash, or, you know, many people in the gig economy, they're independent contractors right now, but this AB5 could potentially make them employees. And we want to get your insights on what this means to the gig economy.
Absolutely. There's a lot of benefits and drawbacks to AB5 that we saw come out of California last month in September when Governor Newsom signed the bill into law. Basically, what the state was trying to do was it was trying to create a fair wage and a fair payment system for some of these gig economy workers. Because up until this point, there was no regulation on how much they could make or really how little they could make. There was no benefits, no health care, no paid time off. And so the bill really tried to classify these independent contractors more as employees to get them to fair pay, similar to what we saw in New York City and New York State do last year when they raised the minimum wage for some of these Lyft drivers. However, the classification in California is now trying to take these independent contractors and make them employees. So while that sounds good, there's also some drawbacks to that. One of the things that could happen, and we saw Lyft and Uber both send out emails to all of their drivers saying that once they're employees, Uber and Lyft can determine when they drive, for how much, for how long, where. And so this idea of independence that so many people love about the gig economy was essentially sucked away from some of these independent contractors. And that's going to happen on January 1st at midnight of 2020, which will be really interesting because there'll be a lot of people waiting for Ubers after their New Year's celebration. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Wow. So in one aspect, I understand what you're saying. In one aspect, the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and DoorDash drivers, they have some flexibility that they can just turn on the app and go to work when they feel like. Now, if they become employees, that's going to be a whole nother story because their employers can actually tell them when and where they have to work. And then the flip side of that is, you know, they may get benefits, they may get workman's comp, but that's going to drive up the costs to the companies, of course, by maybe nearly as much as 30%. So does that hurt the stocks of the company because of this legislation?
It's interesting. The stocks bounced all around after this bill had been passed by the Assembly in California and before it had been signed by Governor Newsom, because some people are very much for this because it will make people and drivers more consistent, potentially reduce some risk with the quality of drivers. And so some people are for this. And on the flip side, as you said, the statistics that's being thrown around by analysts, it's going to increase cost to the consumer. So the person needing the ride or the person requesting DoorDash to deliver food, it's going to increase that up to 30%. So where it might have been $10 for us to grab a ride, now it's going to be $13. It might be a nominal increase, but that will add up over time. And so we'll probably see the stocks bounce around a little bit further, especially as the law becomes in effect in January. And I think the other interesting thing that we've seen is Uber has basically said that they don't fall under this law. So their general counsel has been very adamant that this law does not apply to Uber. So if that's the case, it'll be interesting to see kind of what will happen there, and if they can keep these drivers classified as independent, or if they will in fact become employees.
Wow. So I know you're covering this pretty closely, and you understand the gig economy as good as anyone. Do you think the predominant opinion amongst, let's call it, gig employees is that they want to be classified as employees and get benefits and retirement plans, or they like the idea of being an independent contractor?
I think when they hear employee, they hear the good part of benefits, workman's comp, PTO, fair pay, and all of that. And so I think a lot of them think and believe truly that they want to be an employee. What a lot of them are not hearing in these conversations are some of that lack of flexibility. So I think the happy medium is either like Uber and Lyft have put $90 million towards is creating a third classification. So you've got independent contractors, employees, and then this whole new gig group that have some of the benefits, but also have the independence. That's sort of what they're pushing for. And so I think, to answer your question, I think a lot of the employees think that they want to, or contractors want to become employees because they hear about the benefits, but they don't know that it'll cost them the very reason, that flexibility and freedom, the reason they joined the gig economy. So I think we'll see this shake up. We'll see some people that thought this was awesome realize that if their hours and pay and geographic region where they can drive is restricted, they might change their opinion on that.
Ryan, a few months ago I was down in Florida, and I couldn't get an Uber, so I took a yellow taxi from Fort Lauderdale area to West Palm area, and another friend who was very close by got an Uber, and we went from pretty much the same location, and the yellow taxi was about 50% higher than the Uber price. My friend paid, and what I paid, the Uber was much more cost effective. Nicer car, nicer service, according to him, when we compared notes. But when you say the Uber price may get passed on a maybe 30% increase to the consumer, one of the reasons Uber took off was the convenience and the pricing. And it was disruptive because of both of those. If prices go up 30%, might that not eliminate some of the beauty of using Uber?
I think it will definitely change the way in which people determine whether they're going to take a cab or they're going to take an Uber or Lyft. I mean, right now it's not as convenient. As someone who travels all over the place very frequently, it's not as convenient for me to take an Uber or Lyft as it is for me to go to the taxi stand at an airport where there's a line of cars and I can just get right in one. I don't have to try to flag down a driver at a busy airport. And if the fares are almost comparable at that point, even especially in New York City, coming from JFK or LaGuardia, you have those flat rate caps and you know exactly what it's going to be. Sometimes they can actually be the same price as Uber or Lyft. And I think what we're going to see is if this bill that started in California does spread nationwide, as I do anticipate other states to start passing legislation, and New York has started eyeing a bill similar, I think we will see people end up going with the more convenient option, because now you're not fighting for price, but really, is there a cab on the corner, or is an Uber going to be faster when I call it?
Got it. All right, Ryan Vett, thank you very much for joining us. He's a gig economy expert and the founder of Boon. We'll have you back, Ryan. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Watching at home, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this with more Liquid Lunch for you right in your living room. Back in 2.